goal if you're trying to eventually get something done, chipping away.
Yeah, well, I mean, and chipping away is pretty much all you can do is just chip, 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 chip. Like I'm trying to chip away slowly at this little thing here, and it just wants to be a bitch. As you see, like this just went grayed out on me. I don't know. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Let's see if we're actually streaming now, or if that page itself is just froze up. I don't know. Shit don't make no sense to me.
Streaming is it's a crazy thing.
It's a friggin' art, man. I did like a little stream thing last night, but it was way easy. Right now we're running through like 2 different programs, 3 different programs in total, and so it makes it a little bit more weird. I don't know why. It makes it so damn difficult.
So tricky.
Yeah, like all the things I need to get to the thing that I need seem to be all grayed out. I don't know if that's because it says that I'm streaming, but I'm not. So we'll stop the stream there and see what we got going here. Let's try this again. Let's go into settings. Now, people, this is one thing you find out about me is I am a psychopath, and I don't like when technology thinks it can defeat me in any way, shape, or form.
You know what I don't get?
Okay.
I get how technology works, like how electronics work and stuff. What I don't understand is how they don't work. Like, it's all programmed to do a certain thing. It's wired, like, on a mechanical level. Electricity travels through these circuit boards to very specific places and does very specific things. So I understand why and how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why doesn't it work? What changed?
Yeah, what is stopping it from doing the one thing that it's supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I think I figured it's probably just one simple fucking problem. And that's probably it. It's probably this one problem. And you know what? I'm going to be really, really mad at myself. But you people on Spreaker got to hear this live. You get to hear this dumb shit live. Exactly how we're going. All right, so welcome for all the YouTube people.
Yeah. Got a little behind the scenes action for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there some am I hearing us out of the monitor?
You are hearing us out of the monitor.
It's a little trippy.
Cranked up right now. They're a little cranked. Just so I can make sure that everything is coming through because we don't have the headphones on right now. What's real trippy is how I'm seeing myself 3 times move.
Yeah, and one of them, they're like various degrees of delayed.
Yeah. How do you stream people get used to this shit? It's crazy.
Man, that's like a sci-fi, like action movie, dodging things in the future. Hey, have you seen Tenet? Have you seen that movie, Tenet?
I was gonna watch it. I have not seen it yet. I was going to rent it the other night, and then I ordered Uber Eats instead, because I've been on kind of a budget. I was like, fuck, because it's only for buy right now. It's not even rent. They're like, you got to buy it on YouTube's video or even on Amazon Video. You can't rent it, so I'm gonna wait for it to come out for rent.
There you go.
Because I don't know if I want to buy it. Because I watched the preview thing, and it's like a different version of Inception.
So I did buy it,
Okay.
and I've watched it, and it's...
Is it what I think it is from what I saw in the preview, or
No.
is it completely different?
No.
See,
I watched some
it could only
previews.
go
It's one of those movies, and credit to it, because I feel like one of the problems with movies nowadays is like the preview gives away so much. Like with comedies and stuff, the preview gives away like some of the biggest jokes in the movie and stuff. And one of the best parts about comedy is like the surprise element and the timing element of like hitting you with the punchline. And when you're always like anticipating something because you've seen it in a preview, and you can kind of piece together where a joke is going or something, it's just like anyway, point is the previews for this movie, like I think a good preview are somewhat misleading, to the point where like you almost go into the movie thinking it's one thing and then it's not that
And
at
then
all.
it swaps up on you
And
completely.
it's also, I think, and I won't give any spoilers, but it's the kind of movie that you realize very quickly, like, okay, I don't know what this was from the previews. I'm in for the ride. Here we go, and then you just enjoy it from there.
Fuck yeah. All right.
So it's cool.
That's cool.
Another
I'm
movie like
definitely gonna
that,
get
I
it.
think, is The Lighthouse. Also, another Robert Pattinson movie.
Is it the same? Is Robert Pattinson the one that did Tenet?
He's in Tenet, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's okay. So
He's one of the
star.
he's one of the main
One
characters.
of the
He's not the main character, but he's one of the main characters. Yeah, and I really
So
like
it's
it. I
not
think he's
the
a really
black
good
dude
actor.
That's like the main character.
That
you
guy
see on the
is the
cover?
main character.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the main character. In fact, his name in the movie is the protagonist, which
Yeah.
is a little on the nose, but it's cool. Like if you watch it, you'll.
They're like time cops. It's like Jet Li-ish.
There's some time shit going
Inception
on.
and Time Cops all blashed into one from what I could see from the preview. Just like the little snippet thing that they give you on YouTube for.
It's
you know.
it's the kind of movie that like as soon as it's over, you're like, oh fuck, okay, I gotta watch this again. I gotta go back and like now that I kind of understand everything, and it makes you
Catch
want to
all
it
the
makes you
things.
want to rewatch it. And I think
Okay.
that's a really, like, I think that's telling of a really good movie. It's like when it all kind of comes together at the end, and you're like, oh, I would like to rewatch this now from a different perspective,
Yeah,
being the
because-
perspective of like knowing what I know now.
Yeah, because you got the main plot, but now there's all these other little plots that kind of go off to the side
Mhm.
that you lose to keep
Yeah.
the main plot,
Yep.
which is a definite tenet of a good movie. Honestly, like my favorite kind of movies are the ones where like you're just about where you think you got the grasp of the entire thing, but there's still so much behind the scenes shit that you just overlook to keep
Mhm.
on this main path to think that you're on the storyline. I feel like The Matrix did that. with
Yeah,
one of those. Like,
absolutely. Well,
you watch it each time, and there's little other things.
There's something that you pick up,
You're like,
absolutely.
What the fuck?
yeah, I think that's just good movie making, good writing and stuff.
Agreed.
Like there can be good movies that don't have like a lot of like rewatch value necessarily. Like if it's just like a fun action movie or something where there wasn't it's not much of like a mental grasp of a movie, you know? It's just like, you know, it's like Vin Diesel blowing shit up. It's
Yeah,
just
I
like
was
it's a
thinking,
cool movie, right? But
what's that
at the
one
end of the
with-
movie you don't think like, "Oh my god. Oh shit, I got to watch this whole movie again." Like,
Yeah, I'm
no.
thinking of the one that had like all the fucking action stars in
Oh,
it.
dude, there's
like,
it's
literally,
not the
it's just
it's not the
20 an hour
Expendables,
and
but
30 minutes of fucking blowing. It might be.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's got like all the guys,
It's
like
got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
it's got
yeah,
fucking
yeah, all the old
Sylvester
dudes.
Stallone,
Yep.
everybody in it, and they're all these fucking.
they're all
Just blowing shit up for an hour
Mhm.
and 30 minutes. It's
Right.
just an hour and 30 minutes of straight 80s action movie.
just
There is no
blatantly in your
hidden
face.
plot.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no other storyline. There's the enemy. We go for the enemy. We
Yep.
kill the enemy, and then
We almost don't win, and then we win. Yep.
because good always over triumphs evil.
Hoorah!
It's exactly. It's a fucking hoorah movie. That's a good word to just sum it up. It's just a hoorah.
Well, I love like subversive plots and stuff that make you think they're going one way and then totally like flip it on
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You know?
Sixth Sense did that shit. Like
Yeah, famously,
where
that's
you
like
just
the
like,
the
what
classic
the
Shyamalan twist.
fucking just twist and twist. The one Shyamalan movie I did not like was The Village.
Didn't like The Village. That seems to be a pretty divisive movie.
Yeah, I just like I really wanted there to be some fucking demon.
Oh yeah,
It was just so real.
It was
that-
almost like anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was so real. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, this is actually happening somewhere. It's
Yeah.
too real for it to be like. I'm like, there's some Amish community somewhere that this has happened.
Yeah.
Like they have no fucking clue. The kids
Oh,
are
I
just
bet.
some village thinking that there's fucking wolves beyond that point and it's a freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could get away, but no one's letting them go. that shit's just too real. I feel like you hit the fucking like you seen this story happen somewhere that you lived, and you're like, I'm gonna write a fucking horror movie about it, and instead of it being cars and shit on the other side that are the devil's work, it's just gonna be like there's a werewolf out there. You gotta be careful, and then people scare these kids
Mm-hmm.
in cloaks. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if I remember right, and forgive me for spoiling a fucking
Oh, yeah, I
20-year-old movie or
probably
something like
spoiled
that. Like,
the shit out of it.
sorry, not sorry. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen The Village,
If you haven't seen it, fuck you. Go
if you don't
watch
chew
it.
Big Red, fuck you.
Yeah.
But if I remember right, she's like escaping and she's like running away or something, and then she ends up finding a road in the forest. Like, she's in the forest and she finds a road, and then like a ranger picks her up
Yep.
and takes her back to the ranger station, and like things start coming together from there. But
Yeah, she finds out basically that they have been lying to him this entire time, and that there's this whole other civilization and world around them that they didn't know about, and that they thought that they were like hidden back in the 1800s or something. And she's like, "Oh, we're in fucking 2000 or some shit," and like the fucking world just flips on her, and that was pretty much the end of the movie. It like cuts off there.
yeah,
And then there's no like sum up of like all those people getting arrested or
yeah.
it
I
just-
can see I see what you mean about maybe being kind of anticlimactic, because I guess like it's almost just like you want to know, well, what happened because this was revealed.
Yeah,
Like you saw it be revealed, and then you're kind of left to like,
just here you go, figure it out in your own mind.
which in theory, like that's a really big reveal. That's a huge like game changing like reveal.
Yeah,
But it's almost like it would make it that much better if you got to see the effects of that reveal.
fact. Like on the public, because of its being like as a movie, it being like one of the only movies that does that, like really just kind of really cliffhangs your ass without the idea of a sequel. Like there's nothing coming.
Yeah.
We're not letting you think that there's any secondary coming. There's nothing coming. This is the end of it. And I think people were just like, that's not the norm. And so it affects people's psyche in the fact that they expect a certain outcome and then they don't get it. And we've so trained in movies to get like the good guy wins outcome, and it really kind of kills that. It's not even like the horror movie, like the bad guy kills everybody and wins. It's like there is no sum up. Like
There's just
no
nothing
one
at the end.
gets killed at the end. Like nothing happens. No one finds out anything about the demons. The other kids don't learn anything. It's one chick. Like
Doesn't she go back though?
I don't think so.
I might be thinking of a different movie or a different scene.
She might have. I think she ran away in the woods, and then she ends up coming back.
I feel like I can remember her running back to the village, but that was probably in a scene where she was being chased back there by whatever
That's what I
whatever
think,
they were
because
telling
she was
her was
chased
out
out
there.
of the woods because she ran out in the woods one time.
Right,
before,
so she
and
was
then-
chased back to the village.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then they
that's
like
probably what
set
I'm
up
thinking
the
of.
whole camp and shit, and then she ends up getting back out to like save everybody. She goes back out into the fucking woods, and like demasks one of the fucking people and finds out that it's like the leader of the fucking area, and it's like, oh fuck you, and then bolts off and then stumbles across this road, and then that's pretty much the end of it. Like from what I remember, it has been so many
It's been a
years
long
since
time
I've seen
since
it,
I've seen that.
but I just remember going, there's a road and that's it. Like, where's the fucking demons? I want to see some crazy CGI shit. Like that I was expecting, because people hyped that shit up because the book was so good, but the movie just did not do the justice. Like the people that are really into Harry Potter books hated the fucking movies.
Yeah, that's pretty
because
common.
It just like there's so much more detail and
Yeah,
fucking-
I think that's like bound to happen though. Anytime a movie is based off of a book, like it's impossible to cram, hundreds of pages
It's
into
insane.
an hour and a half or 2 hours even.
Go listen to an audiobook and see how many hours it is for an audio. They're fucking 6 to 12 hours long for like a normal story. Like even just the Book of Enoch is 3.5 hours long to read, which is a sum of a couple of chapters. It's not even like a full fucking like novelty book. And I was listening to another one. It's like on space, like a space prison or something like that. It's an old Orwellian book. And it was 6 hours and fucking 37 minutes and 63 seconds or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, there is. So I'm I'm big into history. and there's this podcast, this guy called Dan Carlin. If you've listened to Joe Rogan, you know Dan Carlin.
Yeah.
You ever listen to Hardcore History?
Yeah.
That shit is
So
insane,
good.
man. And like,
so good.
so-
Shout outs to fucking Dan Carlin.
yeah, Hardcore History. Look that shit up. It is crazy. There's the one on World War One. I think it's called Blueprint for Armageddon, the series on World War One, and it's like, I think it's 6 parts, and they're all 4 to 5 hours long. So it's like almost 30 hours of Dan Carlin talking about World War One and telling stories and reading firsthand accounts, and it's incredible. But it's insane, like how much because I've listened to that series like probably 3 times total. So like almost 100 hours of just listening to him talk about World War One and stuff. And it's so like, I mean, it's got what we were talking about with the movies. It's got that replay value where it's almost like, because there's so much information and he talks about so much different stuff, when you listen to it again, you pick up things that you didn't really register last time.
Like blend out the parts that you already heard, and then you pick up the part that you like. Oh, I don't remember this, and then you start listening intently, and then you're fucking really good to go. That shit. That's what I started listening, because I suck at reading. I can't, for some reason, like as I'm reading the thing, and I'd gotten good at it doing a speed reading course at one point, but I just don't keep up with it. But you would be able to, when I read a word, after the first like sentence of shit, by the time I get to the end of the sentence, I forgot what I read at the first part.
Yeah.
So I have to reread it a bunch of times, and then that just gets to be annoying. But if I hear it audibly, I can remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why audiobooks are life for me. I listen to a lot of them. I fucking love audiobooks.
Dude, I remember being in class as a kid and being in, I think it was math class, and I was just drawing. I was just like scribbling kind of with my head down, scribbling stuff, and the teacher was like calling me out, trying to tell me to pay attention, and I was trying to explain, like, I listen really well when I'm just like, when I'm, or rather I retain information when I'm just kind of listening to it like idly. And so instead of like sitting up there and staring, like if I'm able to kind of do something while I'm listening, like I soak up that information so much more. And so I would just like sit there and doodle in class and stuff, but I would retain the information. And it took her a long time and like many tests where I would like ace the test
to be
and
like,
be
all
like,
right.
Look, I'm following along here. This is just the way that I retain information, you know?
It's sad, because if you're one of those people in a lot of school, like our school, Ever High, would not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do the way that they teach you to do it, or you fail. There is no fucking figuring it out. And I thought that was just stupid, because I came from homeschool, and they did, like, my grandma tried every possible way, whether it was counting blocks, whether it was anything it needed to do, fucking did. Hooked on phonics, rap math, like, did everything that you could possibly do under the sun. I still didn't retain a lot of it, because I fucking hated doing it. But the shit was at least a different ability of learning. Like, I never understood why you would leave somebody to one way.
Yeah. Well, it's the idea of having a public school system for the children. I mean, so if you break it down, the government has a sort of a responsibility, or at least they feel obligated to make sure that the majority of citizens in the country have a baseline education.
Yeah.
Because when those children grow up into adults and are out in society, it behooves the government to have more educated people that are, you know, like accustomed to working with people and being in groups, and like it makes it easier for you to fit into society somewhere, you know. But unfortunately, they have to like just kind of cast a wide net, and like here's a basic way of teaching, and here's some stuff that we think you should know, and here's this and that, and here's the methods of learning it. And like unfortunately there's a lot of kids that don't learn in those methods, but I think that the majority of kids, they just kind of they get through it, they get their diploma or whatever, they graduate. Because I mean obviously the majority of people, like for the most part, people like go all the way grade kindergarten through 12th grade, and then they go out into the world or whatever.
Yeah.
And but
I feel like
I think
that's
that there's
getting smaller and
well
smaller,
there is a large like it might be like a 60-40 thing where like technically more people graduate than don't, but there's still a lot of people that don't. And I think that it's sort of a failure of the educational system.
Well, and I think
because like I think they're limited in the ways that they can really teach people. But I mean I don't
agree,
know
but
how to fix that. But
I know in like say our grandparents' time, there was a certain like aptitude that you had to reach, right, in like all of the schooling in order to pass on to the next thing.
right.
They lowered that in like our birth area, right, for like our parents, and then
They
around
keep
our
lowering
time
it.
they lowered it again, yeah, and they're lowering it and lowering it. So like the bar standard is getting lowered, but in the quality,
It's getting lower because they need more people. They need green checks through the system in order to keep the funding.
yeah,
And the more
exactly.
people that can
So then
quote successfully make it through, they
Are
keep
we
getting their
getting-
money.
are we getting an educated system at that point? Like, is the government getting that behooved system of people at that
Probably
point?
not. I mean,
And
definitely
so-
not in the most like effective way.
Yeah, so
But I think
like-
part of that too is having the amount of people that we have in this country. We have a shitload of people.
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really small though comparatively to most other countries. Like most other countries with even like I think Europe has how many millions of people? We have 300 and some million.
I mean, Europe is like a shitload of countries put together, though.
I'm thinking
you
just
know?
like say Britain. I think Britain has more people than the U.S. does.
I don't know about
not?
that.
That's a good question. I have no
Look it
idea.
up. I'm gonna guess this is just completely out of the blue, but I'm guessing because the U.S. has what 300 million people or so.
Yeah, it's like 330 million or something.
I'm
like
gonna
that.
say Britain has 85.
85.
85 million blokes.
All right, 5 million blokes. All right. UK.
Population, I guess. 2020.
Look at that. They even have a versus the US. So.
65 million.
Yep. So 65,761,000.
88 was close-ish.
Shit. So no, they're like a. What is it saying? That's total. United Kingdom. Oh, so the UK isn't. That's like the whole thing, huh? Or that's at least England, Scotland, Wales,
Yeah.
and North Ireland. Northern Ireland. So what's Britain?
I think Britain might be another word for the UK, for the United Kingdom, like it is Britain.
Isn't that
I'm
what
not sure
the
though.
Brexit thing is though. Is like the separate Britain separation of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, you know what, you might be right. But that actually that already happened, so maybe that's why Britain's not shown on that list. Because I think that
Population of
actually
Great
went
Britain.
through United Kingdom
Kingdom.
of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So I think Britain is considered
The UK.
UK, yeah.
But yeah, so they don't have nearly as many, but their size is a couple of islands. you
Oh
know?
yeah, way smaller. So they might have a bigger population density. So they have like people, like more people in less space.
Yeah, in per like
Percentage-wise,
area.
per capita, whatever.
I wonder what but like you think of like India, they have some billion people. I think they just beat
India,
China.
like the entire.
Yeah, I think they just beat China in population size. Oh yeah, so they're 1.19 billion.
China 1.34 billion, India
Oh, they-
1.19 billion.
Yeah, so they didn't beat them, and then we have 311.1 million.
Wow.
So that's a whole lot of 100 million more. It's about 700 million plus more people. they also have a lot more poverty than we do. But we're starting to look like some of those places with our poverty, with a third of the population that they have.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just
And we're a much younger country.
we're a baby country.
Yeah, like
We're
these countries have been around for thousands of years. China has been. Did you know China is one of the only countries that has never been conquered?
yeah. China is one of the oldest countries in general.
Yeah, it's like it's the oldest civilization in history. Like they had dynasties that have lasted hundreds of years longer than America's been around. These motherfuckers played a long game. Like they've been
Well, and I
five
mean,
plus thousand years. Or
I think
something. It's like
that is I think a big factor probably in how sort of cohesive they are as a country,
yeah,
and how like a lot of they seem to, at least, I mean, I've never been there, I can't speak from experience,
same.
but just in seeing videos and kind
Yeah,
of
what
learning
you
stuff, if you
hear
will,
from,
like it
like-
just seems like they're kind of all on the same page about stuff. And
Yeah, I
of
would
course
say
you're
to
gonna
a
have
degree.
different opinions
Yeah,
on
you're gonna
things
have
in a
some
society.
dissent
You're never
toward-
gonna avoid that, but like I don't think that there's
I would say on average,
almost
they
like,
have
because
more
you know
of a
how
cohesive working. Like from what I've heard from people that have gone to China, it's like everything works together. Like
right.
this guy finds a job from the waste of this guy, and vice versa. And so like as it trickles down, like everybody finds their part in society off of
And
the
it-
waste part of the next person's.
It almost seems like their society like works in like a ring where like everything's connected almost like laterally in importance and stuff, whereas here it feels like we're in a pyramid
top down. Yeah.
pyramid style,
And I mean, those are just kind of the differences between socialism and capitalism. Like,
right.
they're considered a socialist capitalist society. Like,
Mhm.
they have a socialist government, but then they have capitalist markets, which is really just capitalism monopoly. Like, so they're just like, we control the
Government capitalism.
and then we'll allow you to play capitalist.
Well,
But
I
the
don't know,
thing
man.
is with a country that has 1.34 billion fucking people, can you do a capitalist society with 1.34 billion people and still keep people safe and do
Well,
the
I
things
think
that
what you
China
would-
does?
I think you would see.
Do you think that it could work that? Yeah, but do you think it would work without collapsing? You know what I'm saying? Because like all republics that we've seen have collapsed. All other than China, and because they're very fluid, they're not a socialism country. They're a dictatorship by emperorism. Like whoever they vote in is basically that emperor, and then they're very fluid with their politics to a team the time. And like they'll adjust. Like they have capitalism there, but they're still socialist. They are very fluid with that kind of thing, right? To keep power in the hands of the people that they want. And I think that it takes that with that many people. I heard a good argument
Absolutely.
on that. It's like with that amount of people, like we have 311 million, and look at the problems that we're having with the way that our government runs and how many people we have, and like how hard, like it works great with this number of people, but it doesn't work so great with this number of people. And maybe there's a reason why some of these countries have these ways and they work better for those people, and some of those people in those areas believe that it works better just because of the population and the way that the system works and how people have to live together.
Well,
Because in China, they're on top of each other.
and I mean, in a weird way, like dictatorship in and of itself isn't like inherently a bad thing. I
No,
don't
it's
think.
been the law
because-
of the land for fucking longer than
Yeah, I mean,
most things.
for most time, that's kind of what
Yeah.
we've rocked in
we
as
picked-
humans
we
is
picked the
dictatorship,
strongest fucking
emperorship.
person, whoever could kill the most people, and we go, that guy's the fucking one in charge.
Well, and like at a certain point, of course, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you ever get the power, if you ever become that emperor, that person with power to do anything, and nobody can stop you, they say
You're gonna
at some
become
point
corrupt.
it's gonna take you down. But like I think that one of the reasons we don't see change in society as fast as we could is like I mean, imagine if we were in a dictatorship and the dictator, whoever it is, could say, okay, as of right now, um, corporations have to pay more than fucking you know
Whatever.
civilians. They could objectively speaking do something that the majority of people would
They
be
could
like,
do the
okay, hell
thing
yeah,
that everyone thinks presidents do with executive orders.
right. And
They would have
so like that
just
could be a
undeterminated power. No one could say anything about it. They just say this is what's happening,
Mhm.
and it's happening.
just a decree.
now. Done.
Yep.
And it fucking happens from then, or else your ass is getting sent to the gulags.
yeah.
Like, you
Yep.
just either play by our rules or you don't fucking play.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it works.
Oh, it's worked for a
For a
long
long
ass
time.
time, but
It doesn't.
then
give
you
the best.
the problem of course like is that you run into civil rights issues
Yeah,
and human rights issues where
and
at
that's
the
thing is like
people
it-
start to think like I don't want to like you can't
If you
rule
believe
me,
in
you know?
personal freedom, then
that doesn't
and
work, yeah.
Then it doesn't work, and that's like the American ideal.
Yeah,
is
so like
personal
we could
freedom.
never just get an emperor or get a
No.
king. Like that shit would not ever work.
No.
And I don't think that we should.
I don't think
No.
so either. If you wanted those things, there are plenty of places you could go to
Right.
get them. See, and that's the thing I find so funny about politics is like you go anywhere. You could pick whatever government style you want. You want
Yeah, if you
socialism.
wanna be a real
there
citizen
are so
of the
many
world.
places of socialism to go.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be under a dictatorship, there are still kingships and places you could go and be under a dictatorship and have someone rule your life. There are everywhere you can go. Here's not one of them. So either you do the capitalist thing here until it collapses and falls and the next thing takes its place as it will.
As it will.
Like just how history proves. Wait that time, or go somewhere and see what it's like in the other things. See, that's the
I've
beautiful
thought-
thing. Is we
have
have
you-
the open taste of being able to go and test it out. I would love to go and see what it's like to live
Have you ever
in
thought
someone
like,
else's shoes.
thought about moving to another country?
Oh, I've thought about it many a times, and then I find out like, oh, I can get in trouble for saying things. Well, that's bad because I say a lot of things,
Yeah.
and I need to have that right, and you don't really have that anywhere else. Like you could say those things, but someone could kill you for them justly. Like that's just the way it is everywhere. Even Canada doesn't have freedom of speech. They don't have anything, no documentation that gives them that right. They can change what speech is allowed and not allowed. That was the whole fight with Jordan Peterson and the transgender discussion was forced speech, and that the Canadian government has the right to force your speech and either fine you or jail you for hate speech by misgendering somebody. And that was his big fight. It's like, I shouldn't go to jail if you look like a woman, I call you ma'am, and you identify as a woman or a man, and now I can go to prison or be fined, lose my job for misgendering.
Does he live in Canada?
Not anymore. He lives in the U.S. now.
He shouldn't have to
That's
worry
the-
about it then.
Not now, and that's he doesn't fight those things anymore.
Well, and that's
he
sort of
just
like-
does his book.
To your point is like if you're like a Canadian person and to you you're like
At
well,
the time, he was a professor at the college, and so
Yeah.
it was a thing.
Didn't he
that
get fired?
And so it was a discussion that came up between him and students, and then that went viral, and then it became a bigger discussion that he had to go to the news and have these discussions, and then he ended up stepping away from that discussion because, like, in his opinion, he said, I stated my opinion. If you're a person-to-person conversation, you ask me to do it out of politeness, out of human decency, I may do that for you. But to put the pressure of jail or losing your job or anything for somebody accidentally mistaking you, that I don't believe in. And that was the end of it. And then he wrote like 12 rules to like helping young men become men and like understanding the world and stuff like that. And then he ended up having a benzo issue. And he was prescribed Xanax, and then noticed that he had an issue with the Xanax, and then he went to a clinic and and now he's back out, and his daughter does a bunch of stuff with health and all that.
Hmm.
Good dude. He's very clean on how he thinks things, and he's very smart. The one thing I don't agree with him is on religion. Like he uses religion to explain psychology really well. And for somebody that grew up in a religious, like I understand what he's saying better.
Right.
But he is a Christian and is religious, and I don't
Is he?
understand those concepts. His mind's wider open than mine. I don't understand how you can think the two things simultaneously.
They seem like they would sort of cancel each other out in a little
They
bit.
feel like, in my mind, they do. Like you can't have.
Well, I think that's like
voodoo.
it's like the power of religion. Something that when it's trained and drilled into you from the time you're breathing air, and people are praying over you and this and that,
Yeah.
and like you grow up in church going every day, multiple times a week. Like it's
Every day of
it's
the week,
part
7
of your
days.
brain at that point. Like it is literally part of the functionality of your brain from the time that you grow. Like if you're that like indoctrinated is really what it is indoctrination.
Agreed.
It's whether it's religion or any idea, whether it's
And honestly, I would say
something about aliens or UFOs or like whatever it is. I think that because it's introduced and sort of drilled in, and that repetition creates patterns in our brain, like it creates those
neural
synapses.
pathways.
And so I think that it's unavoidable that it's going to be part of your character as you grow up. And that's why I think you see some like really smart, educated scientists, philosophers that are still religious, because I think that deep down it's something that feels almost like comforting in a world that they know objectively is so uncertain and so like chaotic. It's something that at the root, and I'm just guessing that he
Yeah.
was indoctrinated from a very young age in his religion.
I honestly don't. I don't know, and it's 100% plausible. I mean, it's a big thing in Canada. It's like Christianity's a pretty big religion over there.
And Catholicism too, I think,
Yeah.
because they're
And well, when I say Christianity, like it encompasses
yeah.
like to most Christians, Catholicism's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But in Catholic churches, where I grew up, they claim themselves as Christians. It's
Right.
just a offset branch, and so are all of these things,
Mhm.
like Southern Baptists and all. But they
Well,
all believe in
and
Jesus,
as-
and therefore they're Christian.
as Christians, we were like taught that Catholicism is like incorrect,
Yep.
and like
See, and
they're
that's
they're
like-
not going to heaven.
I went to
We are.
Foursquare Christian with my cousins because they're Foursquare Christians, and so that's like Streamline Christian.
Mhm.
And when they'd find out that I went to a Catholic church, like the people, oh my God, must have been a devil worshiper. I'm like, what the fuck? We believe in the same shit. You're saying the same shit. The only difference is they have like the King James Bible,
Well,
which is like 5 books that are ixnayed out of the Bible, and then some of the like laws about divorce and all that. Like the Catholicism is supposed to be way more strict on that shit, almost like the fucking guys whipping their back and shit for praising. And I've seen so many people talk in tongues,
yeah, I've seen that
so
shit too.
crazy.
It's weird.
so fucked up. That's where
I
I got
think
the,
that the main difference though between like Catholicism and Christianity is the Jesus like rose from the dead and forgave the sins
yeah.
thing, because I think that I think if I'm
It's the like they look at it as a symbolism. It's like the body and blood of Christ thing. The Catholics do it every Sunday.
yeah
They do the wine and the bread
communion,
every single Sunday. Christians do it once a month, I think.
yeah, if that.
Something like that. Yeah. They
It just
do
depends on the
like,
denomination of church
special-
they
yeah.
go to, I think.
It's like specific days. We do it because we believe that it like they actually like angels come down, grab the Holy Grail, bring it up to heaven, and that they're feasting with us at this time. It's a whole fucking spiritual ritual thing.
Well, and they say in Christianity as well that like as soon as you eat that little, Nestle brand cracker,
Yeah.
it actually turns
It's into
into
the human
Jesus's
flesh.
body,
in you,
and then the Welch's grape juice turns into
Well,
thousands of
That's
years
the great
old
thing about
Jesus
Catholics
blood.
that I found funny when I went to the Foursquare Christian is they got fucking cranberry juice and shit like that. We're drinking wine
Yeah,
up in our
yeah.
shit. We got the good shit. We're fucking tapping into the priest's shit. Like, and if you drank a good bottle of that, which I had, I was an altar boy, so I got in the back cabinet, so I was able to get access
Oh
to
shit!
that holy water.
You mean an
and
altar
shit.
bad boy?
Oh, dude, I was a bad altar boy. It was bad. I was also the youngest pastoral council member of my church in the
So you were like
history.
thriving in your church.
Oh yeah, I was, because that's all I was allowed to do. I was
Right.
homeschooled, and like church
Dude,
and church people were all I was
Same.
allowed to involve myself with, and
So
I
we're-
got into all the trouble.
Were you like one of the kids though that like you knew all the answers at youth group and like
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
when it came to like the Passion of the Christ and like we had these whole talks about like the crucifixion and like the body and the passion of the body and like how his dying fucking for saving our sins. Like there was a whole month-long fucking spectacular on it. I also did confirmation class, like as a Catholic, to be confirmed Catholic. You do like baptism, then you have to do Eucharist, which is when you get the bread and the body for the first time. And that's like a special ceremony thing that you get your first Eucharist. And you got to do classes for that. And then you got to do classes for confirmation. And then they teach you all about like where the Bible came from and all these things. And then you go to your confirmation and actually get confirmed. I got to turn my beeper off. Get fucking weed shop sending me, hey, we got deals. But did all that. I was like fucking one of the top kids in the class, always answering the questions. Fucking, I was just a church geek, and
Yep.
it was my way of getting away with the shit that I got away with. Like, I was a bad, because all my
Kind of
cousins
have a longer leash though if you're
way longer. See, I learned that because all my cousins, like, they got away with shit just because their parents didn't give a fuck and they didn't go to church or anything, and so like I couldn't hang out and do the shit they were doing,
but you
but
wanted
I
to.
could do that shit if I had a longer leash and no one was paying attention to what I was doing, because I was always doing the right thing. And like I was fucking super spiritual. I was in peer-to-peer mentoring, which they called P2P, and like we were fucking 12 and 14-year-olds mentoring 12 and 14-year-olds. The fuck are we doing here? Like, my best mentoring thing that I did was teach people that if you scream fuck at the top of your lungs, you will feel better 100%. Guaranteed. And then I'd have them do it and they'd feel great.
Oh my god.
It releases endorphins. Like, the word fuck is a great word. That's why it's used in so many ways. Like, it's a great word. And if you just scream it at the top of your lungs, it's great.
That's one thing that is sort of like interesting to me about like religion, certain religions that they don't like swearing. And I understand saying like, oh, like taking God's name in vain or saying like, oh, Jesus Christ, like I understand that from a religious perspective that saying that in vain could be offensive, you know,
'Cause
like
to them it's
offensive
a
to
curse.
God.
It's just
exactly.
like putting a spell on something.
So I completely get that, but saying like fuck and shit and like damn it, like what?
Those are man-made
why can't
words.
You,
They
what?
have
That doesn't
nothing
have to do with
God.
anything. Yeah.
It was a problem. Like, I got in trouble for doing that. Like, when it was found out that I was having people scream fuck at the top of my lungs. But, you know, I got caught like, getting head in the backseat of the youth group leader's truck.
Hopefully the youth group leader wasn't involved.
No.
Okay.
No. They were driving. We were on our way to a camp, and this lady, I won't say her name, starts with a B though. Give me some toppy top, and you know, I did a lot of fucked up shit like that. Like, we had put like icy hot on the urinals in the girls' bathrooms and shit.
Ooh.
All throughout the church. You fucking see people scratching their junk. Like, why is my shit tangling? Ketchup packets, like on the urinals, we did this at Everett High School too. You
Yeah,
little
put 'em
ketchup
underneath
packs.
the seat.
Yeah, right
Yep.
at the end. If we had the split at the fucking when you put the seat down, so if you put them right on the end and then just set them on there, when the person sits down and they have their pants down,
Ketchup
it
blast.
shoots straight into their fucking drawers, right into the fucking spot. So then they got ketchup just messed right where their junk's about to be. Piss a lot of people off.
Dude, speaking of weird things at church, I remember one time at youth group. So first off, before I forget, have you seen that meme that's going around that's like two girls and it's like when they see you carrying the most folding chairs at youth group or something, and it's like,
yeah.
dude, I was laughing so hard because like, oh, I 100% tried to grab as many of those fuckers as I could. Of course, dude. Fucking Sarah was watching. What if she sees me?
We had a Sarah too.
Like, I bet, dude, they're probably talking in the other room about how many chairs we were carrying and stuff.
And like how much my
you
fingers
better
are all
make sure
cramped
you
up.
have the most chairs.
Dude, your fingers better be all crushed with chair shit because you like folded your arm into the 4 chairs to try to grab more chairs and wiggle your way over to drop them. You're like, I got all these chairs. I can't get my arms out of them though.
They all fall over and crash down when you try to put them
dude.
down.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
That's
Good
so
times.
fucking funny.
One time though at youth group we would like play. I think it was after like everyone would kind of chill for a while, and then you'd come in and there'd be like a 15-minute long like message or sermon or something, and then I think we would watch like some music video, usually like some Christian rock or something that was like quote cool, and then
Cool. Super.
and then we would play some sort of game, like some sort of like PE style game, and one of the times it was like this competition, and they had a whole Big Mac. Like, oh no, it was a Happy Meal. It was a Happy Meal. The entire thing, toy included, was blended up into a cup, and you had to drink it. And then you had to eat like a McFlurry or something, and then you had to drink a cup of Coke. And so I was like, hell yeah, I want to do this. I can eat stuff really fast. So I get up there, and it's me against like 3 or 4 other people, and they're all the stuff's lined up, and I'm going through, and I pound down the Big Mac meal or the McFlurry. Fuck, what am I talking about? The Happy Meal. Pound that thing down. I pound down the McFlurry, and then I start chugging the Coke, and it was a cup of soy sauce. They had done the old fake out, and so I took like 2 hard gulps of soy sauce.
Oh my god.
And then when I realized how salty it was, like I instantly, my gag reflex kicked in and I just like puked upward. And then I had to run to the bathroom and I was puking everywhere. And I was so mad. But when I ran to the bathroom, I came back out. And because at that point I realized like, okay, it was soy sauce, but I still got to finish. I come back out and like I end up finishing like neck and neck with the next person.
Holy
and then
shit.
they gave her the win. And I was like, God damn it.
You realize
God
that I
dang
was
it.
so far ahead that I ran in after spewing in front of
Yeah.
everybody, threw up all this shit, came back out, and still was neck and neck with this bitch.
Yeah.
It's because she doesn't have a dick. That's why. That's how they do it. That's how they do it in church. I lost so many things to fucking females just because it's like, well, let the girls have it.
Well, you know,
Teach
so
them some fucking how to be better.
They didn't necessarily do that at our church. I mean, they did to a degree, and it's like it's very like sexist if you think about it.
Oh,
like
it's so
thinking that the
sexist.
girls need any
help.
sort of help. Like no,
They have to
like,
have
what
a
are you talking
handicap.
about? But what they would do is they would let the new people win. The people that don't they don't like normally come to
'cause they
church.
wanna
I was there
bring
like
them
3
more.
days a week. They're like, get the fuck out of here. You got all.
We wanna
you know, what
bring
are you
the
doing?
guy- the
Right.
new
So they're
people
trying to
in.
hook these people, and so yeah, they would get the.
That makes sense.
They would-
Like, you got to get followers because them coffers are fucking. We need that 10% tidy,
Yeah,
damn it.
of course.
If we don't have our 10%, like, it ain't happening correctly. And that's one of my, like, that's probably the one thing I didn't do that I thought about a lot was, like, the money. Like, I was one of the bag collectors. I could have fucking just stuffed my pockets and ran.
Yeah.
If it wasn't other people's money, and like I almost convinced myself, I was like, well, they're giving it to the church, so like they don't fucking know. I'm a poor person. Like they plan on giving it to the poor. It's kind of the same thing. And if I would have listened to my buddy, I would have. But I have somewhat of a conscience. I wasn't gonna steal the fucking money from church. I'll bang in a church, not a problem. It's a building.
Hey, as long as you don't touch God's cut there, you're
Oh yeah.
probably safe. You still get in.
Yeah. Fuck. Losing my virginity was the craziest time. Like, I was in a church. I had
Classic.
crying Mary looking at me. in
Sounds like
pain.
a American Pie movie.
Oh, dude, it was... And my buddy showed up, like, right after.
comes down the stairs to like where the youth room is, and we're off in this other room, and I'm walking to go dispose of the condom, and I bump into him, and he's like, "I brought you guys Wendy's." I was like, "Fuck! I get a sandwich afterwards. This is like a dream come true."
Perfect
Shit was
timing.
fucking. It was perfect. I was like, "This is insane. I don't understand how this is happening right now." I've gotten lucky in a lot of ways in my life, and I've noticed that, and I get. That's why I don't do bad shit anymore, because like, I feel like you get bag of luck tokens, right?
You don't want to run out.
Yeah, and like
Here you go.
I use so many of them, not realizing that there's a bag of luck tokens, just thinking that they're endless, and then realizing, oh, I only got a few of these tokens left. I'm gonna have to save these for very specific times. And I wish I would have saved some of that, because I had some fucking luck. I've been.
Dude, I've thought of like the times that John and I have been together on multiple occasions where we both thought we were gonna die, and one of them. You ever been to Walker Valley? It's like a off-road park up north.
It sounds familiar. I don't know if
People
I've been
go there with
though.
like their quads and dirt bikes and like
No,
big
Reader's
jacked up
Pit
trucks.
was like where we would go. We'd go over to Reader's Pit and shoot and drink and Brody out trucks. And
Yeah,
stick 'em
it's
in the mud.
exactly the kind of place it is up there. It's just up like on a mountain, so there's all kinds of hills, and the higher up you get, the larger the rocks on the ground are. So by the time you get to the top, it's like boulder crawling. So it goes from like dirt road to gravel to like maybe like golf ball size rocks to like softball size rocks, and then it's like big rocks, and then so
talking
it's like basically you can
massive
go as
boulders.
far as your vehicle can get.
Yeah, as long as
essentially.
they can climb them bitches, then you're good.
I went up there first day I had a car in my life. First day I owned a car.
Oh, God.
Me and John went up there after school, and it was a 95 Mazda Protege, and we took it up as high as I could get it. And on the way back down, it's like all dirt and gravel roads and stuff, and so we're like e-braking down the mountain and shit like crazy. And John was hanging out the passenger window, like sitting with his butt up on the ledge and hanging onto the oh shit handle on the inside.
Oh, God.
And I'm coming up to this left-hand corner, and I e-brake it, and I'm going too fast, and I overshoot it. And, like, I have this feeling of, like, oh, my God, we're going to go over the edge. And John's sitting on the outside of the passenger window, and I'm about to, like, dump us down this cliff and, like, completely crush his ass. Might even cut him in half, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, God.
I just, it all flashed before my eyes, and I e-braked and just... slammed on the gas and like barely drifted around this corner. Like, I mean, Ken Block couldn't have made this corner any scarier, dude. It was like insane.
That's insane.
And it was not like a good kind of insane. It was bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we made that corner, he shot back down into the car, and it was just like silent, and we were like looking at
chilling.
each other like, oh my God, we're not dead. Holy shit. Okay, let's
Yeah.
just get down this mountain. And then as we're driving down, keep in mind, it's the first day I own this car, first day ever having a car of my own, and we're
Yeah.
driving down the mountain, and the road kind of splits. It's like a gravel road, but it kind of splits to where you're supposed to either go right or go left, kind of stay. Like, it's still one road, but it just kind of dips like that. So
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I didn't realize it, and I ended up bottoming out because I was going down the middle, and so my car like bottoms out, and I rip my oil pan off, and drive the rest of the way. I mean, like, you can see the road from where I'm at and roll the rest of the way and realize, like, okay, something's big time wrong. Look out behind the car. There's a fat trail of oil. And so I had to shut down the car, and there's, like, no service up there. So it's, like, 4 p.m. Long story short, by the time the tow truck gets there, it's, like, 2 a.m. or something.
I was gonna say.
And my
fucking
dad
next
was
day.
out there, and like we called the tow truck, and he went to the wrong side of this huge lake, and they sent him from like an hour and a half away. So we were in Mount Vernon basically. They sent him from Darrington, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't
So
make any sense.
it took him like an hour and a half to get there, and then he ends up on the wrong side of the lake. But the thing is, we have no service, and he's trying to call us. We can't call him, and we have to walk to find service. It's a complete shit show.
Yeah, that's a
My
fucking
dad was
nightmare.
not happy about having to be out there that long. It was bad.
Oh,
Bad
dude.
times.
Yeah, I'm with the tow truck just in Marysville when I broke down. My grandpa calls up AAA, and they tell him that they're gonna send someone from fucking like Puyallup. It's gonna be
What?
5 hours. I'm
Did
like,
you look at where I said I am?
yeah, hold up. There's no tow trucks in Everett or Marysville. I know that's not true because I have friends who are tow truck drivers. Do I have to call a friend? Like, I have AAA. What the
I
fuck?
thought I thought you were my friend.
Like, what the fuck is going on here? And then they ended up getting it there in 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, there was a guy in Marysville,
Oh, what do you know?
right down the way, and he was like, "Yeah, I know exactly where that's at. I'll come swoop you." And so it worked out. But like, fuck, dude, the way that they try to get you on like fucking hours and hours and hours, it's like, hold up, I'm in a pretty non-rural area, like I'm at the mouth of Marysville.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of traffic goes through here. There's tow trucks. I know
Yeah.
there is.
Oh, for sure.
Not up in the mountains. Scariest time in the mountains, though, for my cousin at least, it was kind of did the same thing up in the Gallatin Hills. We went up the Gallatin Mountain to this Gallatin ghost town. It's up at the top of the mountain in
Is it Monte
Montana.
Cristo? Oh, never
It's
mind.
in
Montana.
Montana. And I got a little Nissan Altima, and where I'm flying up this fucking gravel road, and I'm like hitting the e-brake and sliding around the hills and shit, and he's like, dude, there's a fucking 2,000-foot cliff, and we're on a 1-lane dirt road. No wall. And he's on the side looking down the hill. He's freaking out. I'm looking at the wall, so like the mountain, so I'm good. And then coming back down, I realized how fucked up.
Because you were on the cliff
yeah,
side.
on the cliff side. I'm like, what
Oh
the
my
fuck? He's like, you're
God.
going a whole lot slower this time, huh? I was like, what the fuck? I didn't realize we were this high up. And he's like, yeah, you weren't looking down the cliff the whole time coming up here.
Dude, I was in the Philippines and rode on a bus in the jungle across some shit like that.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
where it's like, if you look it up, like Philippines, jungle province, cliff bus. I don't know. You'll find it. It's buses on cliffs, and it's
I
insane.
think I've seen them.
You've probably seen pictures of it.
Let's get it.
Like cliff bus, I guess. It's crazy though.
Keep hitting the mic with my hat. Sorry, people. Oh shit! 19 dead after cliff. Bus drove
Uh-oh.
off a cliff.
Couldn't be me.
That's the first fucking thing that comes up. That's not okay.
Look at just look at the images.
Thing that's coming up. Oh, that's the accident. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I get you. I get what you're saying. Images here. That's the accident.
Jesus, dude.
I don't want to fuck with. I don't want to see
What?
the accident. You sons of
This
bitches.
is pictures of people dying in bus accidents. No. I just want to see the cliffs.
That's the first thing that comes up. Oh my god.
That's pretty gnarly. It wasn't quite like that. I mean, it wasn't like it was more like that BBC
I feel like this is
picture.
just the camera, like the way the camera angle is set, that makes it seem so much more gnarly there.
That's nuts, dude.
What the fuck? Yes, they used to have a show that was like World's Truckers or something like that, or like fucking Gnarly Truckers or something on History Channel.
Yeah.
And it was like they had the Alaskan Truckers one, and then they did one in like the Philippines and Cambodia and
Oh,
shit.
really? Like jungle truckers?
Yeah,
or
like
some
where they
shit?
were doing them on these cliff edges, and they're 2-lane highways that are big enough for barely
They're one lane highways.
and
yeah.
fucking like people would make these little divots, and they would have to back up for 2-3 miles if you ran into another, because there's no fucking buddy out there to be like, hey, there's guys down this way.
Uh-huh.
Be like, fuck, now I gotta back up on this cliff for miles so they can get through, so I can go back across this thing. What the fuck is wrong with people?
Yeah, it's gnarly.
I would never do that. I wouldn't walk that.
It
I would
is
be
fucked.
shitting my fucking pants the entire
the
time.
road that we were on was not paved.
Yeah.
It was not paved. It was bumpy, and like there were spots where it just looks like it's just gonna cave right out from under you. It's just
Like that.
that's closer, yeah.
Straight up just.
It wasn't
Dust
as
road.
rocky. It was just jungle.
That's
But, like,
insane, though.
Yeah, it's bugged, dude. I did go to the islands that they're showing, the 100 Islands.
These?
Yeah, if you go to the picture that's down and to the right,
Yeah.
No, up, left, that one right there.
Damn.
That's so. See how there's like edges underneath all the islands.
Yeah.
It's from the water line, like an erosion over the years and stuff.
breaking away.
But it makes it so that you can't get on any of the islands because they come out of the water and then it's sheer and then the island starts. They're all like mushroom, like they all almost all of
mushroom
them
out
look
of
like
the
that.
ocean, so,
So
you
there's
can't
a lot of
climb
most
up
of the
'em?
time, yeah, exactly, because you'd have to climb inverted and then climb up. So you, I mean, unless you, it's possible to get on there. Like you can go by with
But you
a
would
boat
be-
with like a ladder and lean it, like whatever. But
You'd be
yeah.
having a hell of a time either way.
mm-hmm.
What
There's
the
a.
fuck?
Did you ever watch the show Big Brother?
I feel like yeah.
It's like a reality show where a bunch of people stay in a house and they have to do these competitions,
yeah.
and mainly they just are. They're always being watched and recorded, and so they capture all the drama. You know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a show called Pinoy Big Brother, which is the Filipino version, and we stayed in the Filipino Big Brother house on the 100 Islands. It's called Governor's Island. Governor's Island, Philippines, and it's crazy. It's got like the pathway up to the little tiki torch area where they do the people going home ceremonies and shit, and like, it's a cool little spot. I don't really know how we were able to stay there. I was 17 at the time. Wasn't asking too many questions, but
I can't really see the letters. 100 Islands. There you
yeah,
go.
it's in the 100 Islands.
Damn. They're straight up 100 Islands.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Look
you
at all
still
these-
got Cliff Bus on that search. I bet if you take that out,
Oh
you'll.
shit, yeah.
It's a cool place though.
That's crazy. Alomino City. 100 Islands. That's a
We were
different-
the only people there on the entire island too. There was like 15 of us maybe.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Fucking water's gorgeous there.
That's
I
cool.
wish-
That's like some of the only like true. It's really is the only really tropical like crystal clear like water that looks like that. You know, I've ever been in.
That's insane. Yeah, I've never been to anything like that. I've never been out of this country though.
Never been to Canada or Mexico.
Canada, I guess. If that's
Doesn't
out
really
of-
feel like it's out of this
Nah,
country.
it's North America.
You ever been to the East Coast?
Nope.
I'll tell you what. That to me feels like more of a different country than Canada.
I don't doubt that. I don't. I bet even like the East Coast of Canada feels like a different country.
Yeah, it probably
to
does.
The North Coast
It's
of
probably
Canada.
more vertical than it is horizontal.
Sideways. Yeah.
In terms of like people's
Just the way
interactions
that
and
they act
mannerisms and
shit.
stuff.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the fact that they're technically a day ahead, like a couple hours
they're like
ahead.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours ahead. But like their morning, like they start their day 3 hours before we do. Like at 11 o'clock, they're at 2 o'clock in their next morning.
So you mean they're like kind of at a different part of their day?
Yeah,
Like
like they're living earlier. I don't know if it makes sense. It makes sense in my head. Like they're like when you go over there, you're actually ahead of everybody over here.
yeah, but it's all still happening
Relative.
at the same time.
It's all relative, yeah, but I think that has some effect on like psychology because like the sun comes up at a different feeling time than it does over here. The darkness comes at a different feeling time.
Yeah, but what's it called? Not daylight savings, but time zones correct a lot of that. So that like at 6 a.m. the sun is rising over there, and then once it comes around to 6 a.m. here, the sun is rising over here. Instead of 6 a.m. rises there, and then we have to wait, and then 9 a.m. it rises here. Like it's
Yeah, but technically, I mean, if you don't do time zones, you just go with the rotation of the Earth, then it is 3 hours difference. Like you're 3 hours later. So
well, then
it-
we would just use the same clock.
yeah, but I'm saying
So 3 o'clock there
physiologically-
would be 3 o'clock here. Yeah,
I'm
then
saying
it would have a big effect.
physiologically it might have a different effect depending because your rotation point is earlier over there than it is here. You know what I'm saying? On
Yeah.
just the rotation of the Earth and like where you are, not time zones and like clocks, but like the actual
physiological rotation of the Earth and when the sun hits and just being there. I don't know if it would have like with the magnetism of the Earth and like where you're grounded at and all those kinds of things. That's some woohoo hooey shit. But it could. I mean, moon affects certain people in weird ways.
Moon
I've
affects
seen-
the ocean, which is crazy.
Yeah, and it affects animals and stuff like that in certain ways. Like, people do get crazy on full moons. Like, it is fucking weird. I used to date a girl that, like, her entire personality would change on a full moon. It was weird.
See, I feel like that's probably people that are like they maybe believe it so much that their mind just kind of buys into
I
it
would
for them.
agree, but
you
this
know?
is like, it was something I noticed. It was like, she wasn't a woohoo. I dated a girl that was like that. Like, astrology was her entire
Yeah.
thing, and everything had to do with the astrology. And
The
she always
stars and the
found a
moon
reason
and-
for it. But this girl just seemed to happen on like full moons. She would have a completely different person, and it was something I started to notice. And maybe I was just doing a lot of drugs at the time. That's highly plausible. But it was something that I noticed. And then when it just feels eerie if you're walking out at night in a full moon. Do you just ever get a weird, eerie feeling and like notice that it's a full moon? Like, you won't notice beforehand. You're walking out and about, and then all of a sudden you just kind of feel something in the air. Look up, and you're like, oh, it's a fucking full moon.
I mean, not really, because I feel like I'm always like looking at the moon whenever I go outside at night, or even if I see it during the day. It's just always kind of fascinated me. So I feel like I'm always kind of, the moon never surprises me necessarily, you know.
Yeah, okay. I've been surprised by the moon many
Yeah.
a time. Yeah.
There's been times when like you look at it and it's like, holy shit, that thing's huge today.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
like bright.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's like, I've had times where I've gone out at night and I can see,
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
cool.
night blind and I can't see, and like it fucking is crisp, and I'm like, how is it so fucking
Especially
bright?
if you go to somewhere that's like a really low light pollution area.
Yeah,
In the Philippines, another thing that was cool about being there, especially because we were in like the jungle, we weren't in the city,
stars and shit, huh?
right? So you can see everything. Like, it's insane.
I
When
bet
you look up
actually
out
get that
here,
Milky Way galaxy
yeah,
band
you
and
get
shit.
you get like the colored, like almost cloud looking. Like, you can see some of that to a degree, which is
That's
like
so insane.
really, really cool. And it blows your mind how much more, because when you look at the stars, you know, around here or in a city
It's
area,
so
even on a night
minuscule.
when it's like really clear and you think it's very dark around you and you're like, oh wow, you can see so many, dude.
so
No.
bright.
Because at the levels of light difference, you're talking about the atmosphere is like affected differently by the amount of light that you're emitting. So like it's like in the air here in a sense.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
whereas when you
having to
go somewhere-
through it as particles of
Mhm.
like little light beams of particles that are going through the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Photons,
Photons.
photons.
I think.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
photons bouncing around in the atmosphere, and like that's, you see, like you're talking about like if you're out in the, even like in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you might even see some of like the galaxy band if you're out deep in the woods. Like, I've gotten pretty deep to where it's pretty dark,
Yeah.
but
It's still
it's
a different. It's
not
a
gonna
whole
be-
different level.
Yeah, because you see pictures of places where there's no light pollution for hundreds of miles, and then it's fucking clear. Like,
Yeah.
you see thousands
It's
of
incredible.
more stars.
It's
The
incredible.
crazy
And
thing
you can
is just
see.
when you go out to the woods even here, how many shooting stars and stuff, how all
Mhm.
the meteorites and shit that you actually see, I bet it's 10,000 times as many when
Yeah,
you're in a
it's like
dark ass
the
place.
sky looks like it's alive almost. You know. Have you ever seen the Northern Lights?
Yes. Well, not there. You've been like where the Northern Lights are typically seen in Alaska and all that. Never been to Alaska and seen them there.
Yeah, I
but
saw
I
'em
have
here.
seen here. Yeah,
Mhm.
we saw, me and my cousin actually. We found out about them and we went pulled off up in Arlington, and we'd hoped that the light sign wouldn't affect it too much, and we got pretty lucky. I think it's just because of the flare that happened, and it like turned the sky green and orange and like rippled
Nice.
through the clouds and shit. We were just smoking a blunt sitting on the roof of my car watching it. It was tight.
Yeah, that's badass.
That's the only, I've only seen it once.
I only saw them once too, and it was like one winter in Arlington. We had a field, like a big like park in the neighborhood that we lived in, and we went down to the field, so there's like no trees around in this big field, and so you could see the whole field, and there was like a meteor shower and the northern lights one night that you could see, and it was like really cool.
Yeah.
I definitely, I'll always remember seeing that, like the green like streaks and the waves, and
Across,
like
yeah.
and how it's like pictures make it seem like it's just like a solid kind of like wave, but it's just like a shimmering, like
Yeah.
it's all like going through each.
And just
Yeah, it's
goes
like
and blends
it's really
treks across the sky. It's fucking gnarly looking. It makes me think though, like with the stars and how dark it is. Think about our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Like when there were no lights, there was zero light pollution. Like no wonder they were seeing gods and stuff in the sky. I mean, the sky is dancing above them every fucking night. It's doing crazy shit they can't even comprehend, that we don't just ever get to see again.
Mm-hmm.
We destroyed that by putting lights. Like you would have to shut all the lights down in the entire world to get
Power outage.
Yeah, I mean globally too,
Mhm.
in order to get rid of all the light
Dissipate
pollution
all that light.
to where you could see exactly what our ancestors do. It would be cool to do like a world gather day, and we do that for one night, shut all the fucking lights off globally to see what our ancestors saw in the skies.
Yeah,
I think it would give a perspective to people in a whole different way.
That's a good idea.
I think it would be cool. I highly doubt that we could get that done, but it
Well,
would be cool.
because the problem is you would have to have governments shut power off,
Everywhere,
because you'd have to
yeah.
have like cities shutting it off, because street lights would be like probably one of the biggest things globally
massive.
that would that causes, or at least one of the biggest systems that could be shut off at once, you know. Like,
Yeah, and
but-
you would have to probably coordinate that between huge groups of people, because
Mhm.
you'd probably have to shut down this one and this one. And there's so many of them. I don't even know how many like power stations per set of streetlights you would have to have.
Yeah.
Probably a lot. I bet just for like convenience of like, oh, instead of fucking there's one down here, if this set of lights goes out, we put it in a buffer here, so
Mhm.
then you have to find like what
Yeah, that's
length
exactly what they do.
That's fucking. That'd be insane, but it would be cool. It would be cool just for one night. Like, get everybody out. Like, this is what we're on. We're on this
Mhm.
big flying fucking rock through space. This is space. Like, people believe space is fake right now. You
Some
see
people
stars
do.
like that, like a night sky, like your ancestors do. Space ain't never fake again.
No, then they're just like, oh, they turned the brightness up on the projection.
Like,
We live in a projection.
fucking touche. They would say that. That's exactly what they would say.
NASA just turned the dial up.
Fucking NASA, goddamn shills. How dare you, fucking shills. So insane. All right, my guy. We've been
Well-
going for a good hour and 12 minutes now, for at least the recording. Probably a little longer on the pod. Hour and 19 on the pod. You guys got lucky and got to hear us, me fumbling with this fucking OBS. I get it. There are 11-year-olds out there that know how to use this shit. I understand. I am not 11. I am
Yeah.
a grown man, and I don't understand. But I'm learning, and that is the key to life. So, y'all stay classy. Any closing words for you, my friend?
Have a happy new year to everybody. Let's I know it's kind of cliche to say that 2021 is going to somehow be better than 2020, but at the very least our expectations are low.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, other than meteorites falling from the sky the size of fucking half a planet.
Which, hey, I've always been an advocate for the end of the world.
Yeah.
I've said that since day one. Not that I want everyone to die, but if everyone's going to die, I would like to be around to see it.
Yes. Agreed. Like,
You know what I'm
if
saying?
we're
Like,
all gonna
what
die
could
anyway.
ever be more exciting as a human than seeing everything end?
end.
The end of everything.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate, like, you got to get some kind of achievement for that. Like,
Dude, yeah.
And
Like,
look,
you
I know that
fucking on your
that's
Xbox thing,
that's like
one
dark
achievement.
and like I know what you might be thinking, but I'm not saying I want it to happen. All
Just
I'm
that
saying,
if it's going to
if
happen,
it's gonna
I
happen,
better be there.
let's go. You know,
Yeah, I better be there. I don't want it to happen in 5,000 years
Right.
when I'm already dead and gone.
it's FOMO. I got fear of missing out on the
Yeah.
end of the world.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
Beautifully said, my friend. All right, everybody, stay classy the way that you do. We love you. Bye-bye.